I'm Teresa Woodard with your headlines from North Texas. Two families have now filed separate lawsuits against a daycare in Frisco. Jobin Paniker shows us the video at the center of controversy.
These videos are part of a 2024 state investigation into Kids Are Kids of Lawler Farm, a daycare in Frisco.
These cases are all about a systematic failure at the daycare. They fail from the top down.
Russell Button is an attorney who represents two families who had children here, who they say were mistreated and neglected.
For somebody to do these things to these kids on that day in that manner, knowing you're being recorded, what else have you done?
In one video, the daycare worker appears to forcefully seat a child, then appears to slap the child on the back. That slap happens again to the same child later.
Pulling, yanking, belittling children. I mean, it's alarming.
We are protecting the identities of the children and also of the adults. The workers have not been charged with the crime. We've reached out to Frisco police to confirm. We asked Russell if that hurts the civil case.
No. Our case is independent of the criminal cases. While we wish that there would have been something done here, they didn't.
We checked the compliance reports by Texas Health and Human Services. It identified more than 30 citations. Most were minor, but a few were for corporal punishment, abuse, and neglect. WFAA reached out to the daycare. They told us the two daycare workers no longer work there, haven't for a while. They couldn't comment any further because of litigation. Russell tells us the daycare attempted to delete these videos. He says it was a manager who gave them to the state. WFAA could not independently confirm this.
That courageous person allowed all of this to come to light. And that's how the investigation started.
The firm filed two civil suits, one in March and one just last week. Two families wanting accountability. In North Texas, I'm Jobin Paniker.
A one-year-old child is hospitalized in Tarrant County after gaining access to what firefighters think is sulfuric acid inside a home. Kevin Reese reports from the scene near Everman as investigators work to determine how this hazmat situation unfolded.
It looked like most hazardous materials incidents, workers in protective suits to guard against any dangerous exposure. But then firefighters told us the victim was a 15-month-old child inside this trailer home near Everman, severely burned.
Why was it there?
By a bottle of sulfuric acid.
Just from the optics, it does look like it was just a terrible tragedy.
Friday, the Everman fire chief told us the child is in the burn unit at Parkland Hospital with severe chemical burns to her abdomen and legs.
Just a horrible occurrence of a small child getting into something that they shouldn't have, that likely shouldn't have been where it was found.
An Everman firefighter who first pulled the child from the home was also treated for inhalation of chemical fumes and then released. Today I met the mom of that little girl at their trailer home here near Everman, and she says what happened here on Thursday night was simply an accident, that her 15-month-old got into a cabinet under the kitchen sink and tipped over a bottle that the mom says she didn't even know was there. She didn't want to be interviewed on camera, but she did allow me to take this picture of the kitchen area, the stain in the middle of the floor believed to be from what they think was sulfuric acid. She says it was a bottle her dad, a truck driver, had simply left behind. Sulfuric acid does have a variety of industrial uses. It can also be an ingredient to make illegal drugs. Nothing else suspicious was found here, but Tarrant County narcotics detectives also responded to the incident.
We were puzzled on why there would be a bottle of raw sulfuric acid literally in the middle of a home.
We are told the bottle was labeled sulfuric acid. Samples are being tested to confirm that it is the chemical that injured the child. Tarrant County Sheriff's investigators will determine what charges, if any, would come next. Near Everman, I'm Kevin Reese.
A top search trend in Texas this weekend was because of a social media post that went viral claiming tattoos will soon become illegal, but it's completely false. The post includes a fake press release from Governor Greg Abbott. It references House Bill 1126 that was supposedly passed in 2024. But Texas did not even have a legislative session that year. And House Bills 1126 from the sessions before and after had nothing to do with tattoos. Now, it only took a moment for our story editors to prove this false. It's really a good reminder for you to do your own research on things before you share them. A North Texas woman says she turned her back for just minutes and a bobcat attacked her dog. That Yorkie survived, but now Richard Solomon has a warning for pet owners.
At first glance, 2-year-old Ariel, a Yorkshire Terrier, seems just fine. But her owner, Claudia Asbury, says it's moments like this that remind her just how lucky they are.
To this day, I'm shocked that Ariel is here.
On Easter Sunday, just after church, Claudia says she took Ariel to her daughter's home in Frisco, and while she was playing in the backyard,
I heard this scream. I saw a bobcat attacking her, like sticking his teeth into her.
a bobcat jumped the fence and ran with Ariel in its jaws. Claudia says she turned her back for just a few minutes as she stepped inside the home. The bobcat did drop Ariel once Claudia says her son-in-law charged after it.
And she just looked lifeless, just laying there.
They rushed her to the hospital with several deep wounds to her neck and another in her stomach. But she's expected to be just fine. Wildlife authorities say, unfortunately, bobcat attacks are happening more often. And they say as our cities expand, so is the possibility of more sightings. They warn you to always pay attention, and so does she.
Even if you're visiting people, still just don't leave your small pets alone.
Claudia has created a GoFundMe to help with the unexpected medical bills, but she's thankful because she gets more moments like this with her best friend. In Frisco, I'm Richard Solomon.
A recent hailstorm damaged thousands of cars at a Dallas auction site, and the owner is now facing more than $3 million in repairs. Here's Mitty Hicks with the scope of damage and what every driver should know.
Hail damage can be costly for anyone, but when you have thousands of cars, repair costs quickly add up.
Right now, we're still trying to get our hands around it, but about $3 million.
That's how much in hail damages John Clay Wolf has tallied so far to his vehicles with GimmeTheVin.com.
There were 17,000 cars at the Manheim Dallas Auto Auction that all got hit.
He says all of this damage is from the hailstorm about 2 weeks ago.
Our average cost to car at Gimme the VIN is $40,000. I didn't have any $1 million cars get hit, but I did have some cars over $500,000 get hit.
And while most people aren't responsible for thousands of cars like John, everyone is impacted by weather.
It already has been. We've had several tornadoes, several hailstorms. Yes, very busy.
A busy storm season is why Ron cautions drivers to check their insurance policies and make sure hail damage is covered. But even with proper insurance, repairs are taking longer.
The more cars that are damaged, the less availability there are to fix those vehicles. You know, there's only so many paintless dent repair companies out there in the Metroplex.
As for John, he's in good spirits because he's seen much worse.
I've been through a lot of crazy stuff. This isn't going to kill me at all.
In Dallas, I'm Mitty Hicks.
Those are your headlines from North Texas.
Let's take a look at today's headlines from Houston. I'm Trayson Bragg. Federal investigators are now looking into whether recent changes to Houstin ISD's special education could violate disability laws. And families are sharing their concerns about what possible changes could mean for their kids. Michelle Troy reports.
Inside Houston City College's central campus in Midtown Saturday, families gather for a special education resource fair hosted with the nonprofit Partners Resource Network. But one day after the U.S. Department of Education opened an investigation into Houston ISD's proposed special education changes, many parents here say the concerns hit home. Among them, Elizabeth Ortega, whose son is on the autism spectrum and once attended HISD before she says a lack of special education support pushed their family to transfer districts.
What special education is supposed to do, it's supposed to give our kids that have a disability access to the general education curriculum to close that gap of where our kids are and where they need to be.
Ortega says she worries the district's proposed changes could move students further away from that goal.
It's like we're looking at segregation instead of inclusion.
The federal investigation focuses on concerns some students in self-contained special education classrooms could be reassigned to different campuses next school year. Jane Frio, an HISD parent and special education advocate, says families are frustrated by what they describe as broad changes impacting vulnerable students.
Special education really has to be individualized for each student. And when you make these blanket changes and send parents, notes home in the mail. That isn't how special education is done.
HISD has said most special education students would not be affected and says the changes are aimed at creating smaller class sizes and more personalized instruction. An explanation Frio says parents don't buy. And now with the federal government stepping in, some parents say they finally feel heard.
Having the federal government backing up your concerns certainly empowers a lot of people to keep fighting.
In Houston, Michelle Choi, KHOU 11 News.
Michelle, thank you. Now, we're hearing from a Harris County deputy who was shot in a random drive-by while laying in his bed. For his family, it's another devastating setback less than 2 years after losing their home in the derecho. Now, I spoke to the deputy about his recovery and the long road ahead.
Been a rough road, but I mean, I'm doing good. I'm holding in.
Rough road may be an understatement for Harris County Deputy Houstin Arellano and his family. On April 25th, what started as a quiet night at home quickly turned into chaos.
We can hear the car or vehicle, whatever it was, coming down the road, and then just pop, 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 like they were close.
One of those bullets ripped through the family's bedroom.
As I picked my head up, I mean, I saw it hit me, and I held my side and looked at my hand, and I could see blood. My daughter started screaming right away. 2 of your daughters were in the room with you. How close were they to potentially have gotten hit? Where the window was, she was right in front of it. We don't know exactly where, but I mean, it'd have to be within inches of where she was standing when that bullet, where the bullet came in through.
The bullet pierced Arellano's intestine and colon and fractured his spine. He survived, but the trauma remains. This is supposed to be your safe place, and this is where something like this happened. We're here in this house, you know, being displaced from, you know, the fire destroying our other one. And, you know, what was supposed to be, it's almost 2 years ago. That fire happened during the derecho when the family lost their home. Arellano says their rebuild was supposed to be finished last year, but claims the construction company asked for more money outside the original contract.
And it's like, oh, we're gonna need 10% more. And it might be $60,000 more.
Another setback for a family that says it keeps getting knocked down.
It's like, you know, we'll get one step forward and then, you know, something brings us 4 steps back. Now, I spoke with DLT Construction. One of the owners claims that the additional cost requests were due to rising material prices and upgrade requests made by the family. Now, if you would like to help this hero family, Deputy Arellano and his family, during this very difficult time, we have instructions on how you can do so at khou.com. Meanwhile, the suspect involved in the shooting, Rodrigo Arriaga Jr., is now charged with deadly conduct. All right, crews are working to set up the perfect soccer pitch inside Houston Stadium. They are putting down a layer called permavoid, which allows airflow to help grass roots grow stronger. After more fabric and an irrigation system is installed, 81,000 square feet of natural grass from Colorado will be put in. LED grow lights all the way from the Netherlands are also on the way to get the pitch in the best shape possible for the big match.
Once it's all rolled out and put together, it'll actually be stitched together with a specialized piece of equipment just to give it that extra structural integrity for when players are running around, cleats are on it, turning, and really primarily to hold up for 7 matches.
The goal is to have the pitch ready to go by May 28th. We can't wait. All right, in Northwest Houston, a vocational school is helping people turn their lives around, training barbers and cosmetologists, many of them coming right out of the prison system and looking for a second chance. For one man, that opportunity helped him rebuild his life. Now he's helping others reshape theirs. Michelle Choi is back with his story.
The sound of a second chance taking shape inside Northwest Educational Center, where every cut is about more than what you see in the mirror. For Anthony Sanchez,
you know, put some texture in the top.
This is where everything changed.
I was incarcerated at 17 years old for multiple armed robberies and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
A past that nearly defined his future.
I believed that either I was going to die in the system or receive more time for the violence and brutality that happens on a day-to-day basis in TDCJ.
He survived, served 10 years, and when he got out, he had a vision to become a barber.
Going to multiple different barber colleges trying to apply, I was denied because I am a convicted felon. People don't realize that once you're labeled a felon in the state of Texas, it's hard to get employment.
Until Northwest Educational Center took a chance on him.
And they gave me a scholarship, so it was the greatest gift that I could even acquire.
One of the oldest vocational schools in Texas, it's the place where he learned the craft, earned his license, and found purpose.
So right here, we're on the senior floor.
Now he's helping to shape a future for others.
It's a blessing to give back to the underserved community, and especially the youth coming into our program, seeing them grow, prosper, and make their dreams a reality.
Because he knows exactly what that opportunity can mean.
They understand that I come from the same cloth as them, that I experienced the same adversity.
From TDCJ re-entry classes where he speaks to inmates, to neighborhoods across Houston, helping others line up a future they didn't think was possible.
This is where it all started, right here.
For recent graduate Javier Gomez, a barbering book he discovered in prison sparked a dream.
I kept reading it because this was my dream.
But once he got out, reality quickly set in.
Coming out of prison, you know, it's like, who's gonna hire me?
Until he found someone who understood.
I said, what do I have to lose? I really have everything to gain.
And Javier says Anthony is helping others like him avoid the same path. People like current cosmetology student Mallory Cruz.
I hung out with the wrong set of people and stuff, and I wasn't making the right decisions. And, you know, I was always catching myself getting into it with the laws, and you know, I couldn't escape from it.
Until she walked through these doors.
I just thought that it was a second chance at life.
Did you pass your test?
For Anthony, it all comes back to this place, a place that believed in him, now helping others believe in themselves.
It's not your past that defines you. The way you respond to the situation defines who you are.
In Houston, Michelle Choi, KHOU 11 News.
Love that story and love that effort there. All right, thank you so much, Michelle. That's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Trayson Bragg.
All right, here are your Texas headlines. Pretty busy weather weekend, certainly yesterday. So for this morning, waking up to nicer conditions. So some rain to the southeast, southeast Texas, Gulf Coast counties. A few storms possible. As always, this time of year, you have enough instability, you have enough humidity. So we'll be watching the Gulf Coast, Tuesday, quiet and warm across the state, starting to warm up. So early taste of summer now, here in May. Getting even warmer than on Wednesday. Across the board, though, we're talking temps in the 80s, some spots upper 70s. DFW after the front moved through, on Sunday. Look at Amarillo, 97, a dry 97 for Tuesday. A lot of spots into the 80s and 90s. And then look at Wednesday, a lot of 90s on the board. So it's been a little while. Get ready. Here we go in terms of the warmth getting up there. So high temperatures for Monday, upper 70s. Have some low to mid 80s. This is going to be maybe your pick-me day of the week, Monday or Tuesday across the state after the front came through, certainly with the exception of far south Texas, but that's not that bad. 84 in Corpus, 81 in Brownsville, Houston, a muggy 75, but hit and miss, scattered rain chances going to be in play there. Look at Tucson. Look at that. Aren't you thankful we're not dealing with that right now? That's not great. 101 in Tucson. So all in all, not bad as we go towards your Monday. Let's go through timecast here, So starting this on Monday evening, most of the state clear and dry after clearing out after that front. Severe weather, no chance this week, not seeing activity this week. As we approach the following weekend, next weekend, Saturday, Sunday, we'll watch for another disturbance and more activity. But as of right now, not bad. Going through Tuesday morning, maybe some cloud cover in South Texas, not much. So your week starting off nicely, just getting pretty warm by the end of the week. Here we go through Tuesday night. Again, we're fighting for even seeing any cloud cover in this state. Not much, just a little cloud cover in the Panhandle and far South Texas. And then as we go through Wednesday, not much as well. So drought monitor conditions, again, some of this changed with all the rain in west and central Texas up towards North Texas. Austin, though, still missing out. Seems like all the storms, last few storm systems have approached the 35 corridor and just lost steam. Look at the drought down near Corpus. Look at that, extreme to exceptional in spots west of Corpus, Laredo, northeast Texas, Texarkana, spot that's usually active this time of year. Look at the Panhandle as well. So you can tell where the rain has been over the past month or so, certainly west of the I-35 corridor. and spots. So again, on Timecast, not seeing much in the way of relief here. I mean, there's just nothing. I could put on a different model here. It'd look just about the same. A little cloud cover to the south, but not a whole lot as we go through Tuesday. Not a whole lot to talk about. Finally, we've had plenty of days of active weather, and that's just it there. So again, that's what we have on Timecast going through Tuesday and Wednesday and all of that activity. Let's go then to the forecast one more time for you. Texas forecast, okay? West Texas, El Paso, Lubbock, Midland, El Paso, 89 Monday, dry 89, 96 on Tuesday, 96 as well in Lubbock, Midland, 96, 97, 98, 97 on Wednesday. Yikes, so certainly warm out there. Prepare yourself. Central Texas, Austin, 82, 85, up to 90 Wednesday. At Camp Mabry, I'll see if we get that. That might be a little warm. Waco, 80, 87, 93. 93 seems a touch high, but again, we could do that. Certainly with slightly drier air there Wednesday. And then Fredericksburg, Hill Country, usually beautiful, up to 90 by Wednesday as well. South Texas, San Antonio, 85, 86, 87. Corpus, up to 90 by Wednesday. Look at Laredo, you're up to 98. Some spots in South Texas, 100 doesn't seem too far out of reach late week. Thursday, Friday, even warmer than this. North Texas, DFW, okay, 78, 83, 88. And some spots in the lower 90s by Thursday and Friday. So prepare yourselves for that. Weatherford, west of DFW, 78, 83, 88. And Denton, far northwestern spots, 78, 83, 88 as well. All three of those. So East Texas, Houston, more humidity, 84, 85, 91. And muggy with the scattered hit and miss sea breeze chance, okay? And then Beaumont, 82, 84, 87. Tyler, up to 86 by Wednesday. And in the Valley, McAllen, 92 by Tuesday. All spots in the 90s by Tuesday. Brownsville and Mission, 93 Wednesday. 91 in Brownsville, 94 in Mission. So headed for a warmer stretch here, certainly by the end of the week. But not really any rain chances, okay, as we go through the end of the week. Really a warmer and drier settled pattern, looking more like an early summer-like pattern, then changes next weekend. Then we start to see more active weather across the entire state. Next weekend into the following week, that's where more rain chances, storm chances certainly, and maybe some catching up on some rain in those drought-ridden areas, South Texas and spots in Northwest Texas. So keeping an eye on things, it's going to be a fairly benign week. Warm, get ready for the warmth coming in by late week. Be safe if you have any travels. Get ready, it's going to be hot.
I'm Darrenisha Heron here in Austin. Austin health officials urge everyone to consider getting vaccinated for the measles. There's one reported case in Travis County. What we know so far is the patient had been traveling abroad and is unvaccinated. KVU's Daniel Gomez spoke with Austin Public Health, who tells him last year there were more than 700 cases reported in an outbreak that started in West Texas.
Travis County has its first case of the measles for 2026. On Monday, the patient came to a St. David's ER facility off Highway 183 and Anderson Mill Road. He traveled abroad and was unvaccinated.
I know there's a lot of cases in Mexico, there's a lot of cases in Canada, but I would say that there's pockets of measles all over the world.
Heather Cook St. Clair is with Austin Public Health's Epidemiology and Disease Surveillance Unit. The exact details of where that patient was or his condition is unknown, but what Cook St. Clair knows is her team always keeps an eye on the trends.
We have good relationships with all of our area providers and a lot of labs across the nation where they will report these conditions directly to us.
In last year's outbreak, there were 762 cases in the state, most of them in West Texas. 718 of patients were either unvaccinated or had unknown status. More than half were minors, 2 of them died. Travis County wasn't a part of the outbreak, but did have 2 confirmed cases. Williamson County had 8. According to the CDC's 2024-2025 school year data, an estimated 93.2% of kindergartners were vaccinated.
I would definitely talk with my doctor about seeing what you can do to make sure that you're getting up to date on your vaccine. If you don't know, talk with your doctor and they'll be able to tell you the best course of action to get you vaccinated.
3 things to look out for are itchy red eyes, a cough, and a rash.
If you or a child needs to get a vaccine at little to no cost, Austin Public Health has clinics available. We have a link to more information posted to this story on kview.com. Even though we've had a good amount of rain recently, Central Texas authorities say they're concerned about wildfires. Right now, the threat is relatively low, but with all of this rain making vegetation grow, when things dry out this summer, there will be more fuel for a potential wildfire. And today, city and county leaders urged everyone to be prepared for wildfires in the coming months.
Contrary to popular belief, most wildfires are completely preventable. They're started every day by people who didn't think they were doing anything wrong. And here in Travis County, I've seen a wildfire start because a driver didn't properly secure a metal chain that dragged on the pavement and created a spark and created a fire.
Authorities say you should never throw a lit cigarette out of your car window. Don't drive through tall grass, and be careful with other activities that can easily spark a fire, like welding, fireworks, fire pits, and grills. They emphasize that embers can travel a mile away from where a fire begins, so everyone needs to prepare no matter where they live. You can reduce your home's risk of being destroyed in a wildfire by keeping vegetation and other flammable materials at least 5 feet away from your home, trimming trees back at least 10 feet from your roof, and keeping your grass short and watered when possible. In honor of America's 250th birthday this summer, we're sharing stories of extraordinary Americans who are going above and beyond for their communities. Today, I want you to meet Sue Spears, who has spent decades keeping the history and the spirit of a sacred East Austin space alive.
In a busy East Austin neighborhood sits a peaceful oasis, a place of homecoming and history.
Every stone out here has a story.
And for more than 30 years, Sue Spears has worked to unearth the past, making sure Bethany, the first African-American cemetery in Austin, is not forgotten.
This is a kind of an archive of what East Austin was.
In the 1990s, the cemetery was abandoned, an overgrown lot filled with trash. Parents worried about students at nearby Sims Elementary taking a trail through the high weeds to get home.
So I started walking the trail, and then after walking the trail, I started to see stones. And I was like, okay, this is just not a trail, this is actually a cemetery. And it was really shocking to me because I am a native Austinite, went to Sims Elementary School, lived in this neighborhood my whole life, and didn't realize that this was a cemetery or the significance of it.
Spears made it her mission to bring this sacred space back to life.
These people lived through slavery, emancipation, Jim Crow, and for them not to have a decent place to be buried, that really bothered me.
Spears and other volunteers have spent countless hours mowing the grounds, cleaning and restoring headstones, discovering the stories of those laid to rest here, from prominent East Austin families to others with ties to the University of Texas.
The students, when he passed, raised money and bought this marker for him.
There are Buffalo soldiers, business owners, service members, those who endured slavery, and beloved children. She even helped add QR codes on some graves so people can dig a little deeper to find out more about their lives.
We have people that just want to learn the stories.
And Spears is still working to figure out others whose names and gravestones are lost to time. While she's busy preserving the past, there's also the future to think about. There's plans for a massive new development to be built next door. Spears worked with developers and the city to make sure the cemetery remains untouched.
They're gonna put up a nice fence for the cemetery. They're gonna build a dog park on their property, so people will be less likely to walk their dogs and their animals in the cemetery grounds. One of the biggest things was they're going to do a ground scrape on their property to make sure that they're not disturbing any unmarked graves, and that was really important to us.
And Spears says she'll keep working to make sure these East Austin stories are never buried again.
Thank you, Quita. You think a cemetery would get help from the city, county, or the state? Well, it's a private cemetery, so none of those entities are required to give it funding or help. That's why Spears needs people who can volunteer to mow and clean up the grounds or donate to help make it possible. If you'd like to volunteer, we've set up a link to the Bethany Cemetery Association on our website, kview.com. That's all from Austin. I'm Darrenisha Heron.
Hi, I'm Dan Millay, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. A Kilgore family is rebuilding their lives after a house fire destroyed everything they owned with no insurance to fall back on. But for the Rowells, this is far from the first hardship that they've faced. CBS 19's Robert De La Garza shows how, despite years of setbacks, they are now leaning on each other and their community to move forward.
Just the frame and what's left of these 4 walls is all that remains from this Kilgore home. But as the frame still stands, so does Tommy Rawls and his family.
Keeps repeating itself, and I'm trying to figure out what I've done.
Just last week, a fire broke out in their family's home after his wife Allison noticed the smell of smoke.
It was horrible. I can't explain. It's just really bad.
And within minutes, the flames took over.
It just flashed over me with smoke and embers that I couldn't see.
Tommy says he tried to save the family's dogs before escaping with his wife and son.
And the dogs were barking and squealing, and I couldn't see them to save them. I told him, I said, I'm sorry, I can't save you. And I went out the front door.
Only one of their 5 dogs survived.
They were just, they're the best. They loved us.
The family says the fire started from an outdated power strip.
This whole thing's like a nightmare. I keep thinking that I'm going to wake up and it was all just a dream, but that hasn't happened.
A financial and emotional setback, but one the Rawls family says feels all too familiar.
I've survived it every time, so I guess it is luck. But
Tommy says he was in a coma for 11 days after suffering a seizure while on the freeway.
After being so happy for so long, and then to have all this happen within 9 years.
And in 2017, they lost their home during Hurricane Harvey.
Yeah, it does. It feels like it's happened all over again.
Now, from their family home to a hotel room, the Rawls family is starting over once again.
Yeah, I cried a lot, but I tried to keep my composure. And I'm not blaming anybody. You know, it was an accident.
And through every setback, they say what's most important is what's inside these 4 walls.
Yeah, just being there for each other really helps.
Not what's left behind is what keeps them going. For CBS 19, I'm Robert De La Garza.
A simple sign along Highway 31 is now helping one East Texas family heal after unimaginable loss. CBS 19's Renee Estrada shows us how a brother's love turned into grief into something lasting.
Just a few feet from where the Smith and Gregg County lines meet, now stands a sign. A blue square that represents healing, remembrance, and the bond between a family and the brother they lost.
So just kind of finding something to just rechannel everything is kind of where the idea stemmed from.
Months after a deadly crash took the life of Jonathan Perez, his family wanted to create something that would honor him and help them heal.
I think for me personally, the idea started just mainly finding something that kind of, I guess, in a way helped with kind of just the emotions of grief, finding something to rechannel all, I guess, the sadness, the anger, just all of the unknown feelings.
For Jonathan's brother, Christopher, the drive down Highway 31 had become difficult. Every mile carrying memories of the day his family's life changed forever. But over time, that pain turned into purpose.
Finding a way to just rechannel instead of driving down the road and just remembering everything negative, just to find something that was a little bit more positive.
Christopher spent 5 months working with TxDOT to have a 2-mile stretch of highway dedicated to Jonathan. A process he said came with roadblocks, but one he never gave up on.
So not only advocating for our family, but advocating for my little brother that this was something that I was going to be persistent about. It wasn't something that I was going to stop at the first no.
Now, what was once a painful stretch of road also holds memories of late night drives, family dinners, and the brother they say will never be forgotten.
As long as we're here, he's never going to get forgotten. And just thank him for all the strength that I know he's sending us down here.
And while grief may still sometimes linger, the family says the sign is a reminder that love can still live in the places that hurt the most. In Tyler, Renee Estrada, CBS 19.
And that does it for your East Texas headlines. I'm Dan Millay.
I'm Bill Churchwell in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening in South Texas. The board of the Nueces River Authority met Friday morning to discuss allegations made by one of its own executives all over the amount of water pre-sold for the Harbor Island desal project. Reporter Ryan Hopper was there and has the details.
I'm Ryan Hopper in front of the headquarters of the NRA, the Nueces River Authority, which is a key water power player in South Texas behind, of course, the Harbor Island desalination plant. Unfortunately, we did not get a lot of updates on Harbor Island today, nor do we get updates on the allegations of Chief Operating Officer Travis Pruski, as that was all discussed in about a 3-hour-long executive session behind closed doors. According to the NRA's agenda, the executive session included discussion of possible disciplinary action following Pruski's allegations. He claimed, among other things, that the NRA misrepresented the amount of water pre-sold for the Harbor Island desal project. The authority has also come under fire recently after a former NRA employee was charged with tampering with government records, a state jail felony, after she collected water samples without being certified to do so.
No actions or votes were taken, nor decisions made while the board was in executive session. We will now continue with the regular meeting.
The NRA board also had to address transparency concerns.
You have not posted any meetings of executive meetings or finance meetings in the last 2 years that I've been coming here. And that's saying something. So you've been having these meetings, but you're supposed to be posting an agenda. It's supposed to be on the door wherever this meeting is.
Those concerns echoed by former Corpus Christi Mayor Joe McComb in a Tuesday letter to the board questioning if it follows the Texas Open Meetings Act. And one last piece of Nueces River Authority news that was not discussed at today's meeting. The organization placed under credit watch by Standard & Poor's, one of the world's foremost credit rating agencies. Basically what that means, it could be hard for them to access funds for critical water projects such as Harbor Island desal. From the Nueces River Authority in Robstown, Ryan Hopper.
Kingsville Animal Control officially expanded operations this weekend into a brand new facility, giving the department more room to take in dogs and cats in need while also creating opportunities for community outreach. Our Lydia Herrera has that story.
Kingsville Animal Control is entering a new era with its state-of-the-art facility, and officials say it's already drawing in large crowds looking for services. Pet owners are looking for more affordable care like Ibani Briseño, especially since she has 2 dogs, Lolita and Gizmo.
It's free and it helps them, keeps them healthy. These are my babies. I do anything for them.
Typically, owners pay anywhere from $70 to $260 for services, but at this annual event, all vaccinations are free and microchipping is offered for a small fee.
Oh, my baby!
Something Kathy Jimenez and Tony Morales are grateful for when it comes to their dog, Shamika.
Very expensive to have your dogs chipped and to get vaccinated. In here, they give you a little bit so you can keep money in your pocket to give it to them for free, which is good because they don't have to get any kind of disease, and also chips, so if they go lost, you'll be able to find them.
Animal Control Director Emilio Garcia says the new facility is opening many doors for the community, including partnerships like the one with Texas A&M University at Kingsville.
They bring their students out here with their lead veterinarian to come out and provide these rabies vaccinations, and they're getting experience, exposure to animals, different types of animals, all types of animals, all sizes of different animals, to inoculate them with the rabies vaccination.
Tammy Sr. Kara Papadramitro says this partnership is helping her gain experience that will benefit her future career.
A lot of people are nervous when they first go in because a lot don't have experience, and so being able to help work on animals and give vaccines like this repetitively will help them in the future.
And with the new building able to house more dogs and host more events, Garcia hopes the community will come out for adoptions and additional services.
You know, keeping your animals restrained at all times, get them rabies vaccinated, getting them microchipped, you know, take them to the vets annually for checkups. It's the right thing to do to become a responsible pet owner in our community.
Lydia Herrera, 3 News.
And that's a quick look at some of what's happening right here in South Texas.
I'm Vanessa Croy, and here's your news in San Antonio. Police discover a chilling clue during an investigation into a deadly shooting on the city's south side. It happened around 1:30 Friday afternoon when police got a call about a man's body in a house off Prairie Hill. When officers got there, they discovered a pool of blood, a man who'd been shot in the back of the head, and what they believed to be gasoline spread throughout the house. Investigators say they didn't find a weapon. They believe the victim was part of a work crew renovating the home. Right now, police have yet to make an arrest. We now know the names of the people killed in a crash Wednesday afternoon that police are now calling a murder-suicide. It happened along 410 on San Antonio's southwest side. Investigators say when officers got there, they found 2 people inside the car. Both had been shot. The medical examiner has identified the couple as Elia and Armando Hernandez, both 46 years old. Southwest ISD has confirmed to us that Armando was a corporal with the district's police department and had worked for the district since 2010. Nearly a month later, an accused shooter is now behind bars after a road rage confrontation ends in gunfire. Investigators say it happened back in April on the city's west side. Police say 24-year-old Sebastian Rodriguez became enraged after a woman backed out of her driveway while he was driving down the street. The warrant says Rodriguez then stopped, got out of his truck, and grabbed the woman's cell phone while she was trying to take his picture. Well, police say a neighbor then stepped in to help, and they say that Rodriguez and the neighbor started arguing when Rodriguez pulled out a gun and shot the 37-year-old man and then took off. Witnesses and photos from the scene later helped investigators identify Rodriguez as the suspect. As for the victim, police say he's still recovering from his injuries. Newly released court documents show a man who was shot by his neighbor is now the one facing charges. Police say he threatened that neighbor with a knife. Investigators say late last month, the victim told officers that 58-year-old Joe Mendez was throwing rocks at their yard, yelling at his wife, and had threatened to kill another family member. Investigators say Mendez then challenged the man to a fight and pulled out a knife. Well, according to an arrest warrant, the victim told police he fired 1 shot in fear of his life. Police say Mendez has a history of threatening and harassing the victim and his family who live across the street. Animal Care Services now investigating possible charges after they say a dog attacked 2 people on the same street. Reporter Zach Briggs spoke to the father of the 5-year-old victim.
I caught up with Brian Funderburk. His daughter was attacked by the same dog on April 29th. And after learning what ACS told us today, he's hopeful that the dog owner will be held accountable, especially after the latest incident involving his 80-year-old neighbor.
At the end of the day, it's not the dog's fault. The fact that this happened falls more, in my opinion, on the owner for not doing his due diligence, training his dog, and taking care of his dog in the proper way.
Brian Funderburk's 5-year-old daughter is in brighter spirits after last week's dog attack along the 8,000 block of Archbridge.
She's healing fine. Her bite wasn't terrible, but not great. She had a couple puncture wounds, but other than that, she's doing better.
Funderburk's really concerned about his 80-year-old neighbor who survived being bitten in her own backyard Thursday morning.
It's terrible. It's not something that should be happening.
ACS Director Jonathan Gary says after the April 29th attack, investigators struggled to track down the dog because of the owner's alleged actions.
Our investigators actually work this case every single day, making location, trying to find this dog. And unfortunately, we weren't able to because of the uncooperative The owner intentionally took the dog out of our jurisdiction.
The dog in question is now in the hands of ACS after they made contact with the owner. Neighbors started calling ACS about this dog over a year ago.
It was a known dog. I walk my dog late at night and it's been out there.
But nothing came of those reports.
We weren't able to confirm the incidents with the residents, other than we were able to speak with the owner on one occasion.
And while the investigation continues, potential criminal charges include attack by a dog and serious bodily injury.
And I did knock on the door of the home where the attack happened. Someone did answer, but they had no comment. I'm Zach Briggs, KENS 5.
A crime spree comes to an end for 4 women accused of stealing thousands of dollars in merchandise from Ulta stores. Investigators say the suspected crooks hid merchandise inside purses, yoga pants, even a child's backpack. According to an arrest warrant, Estrella Beltran, Roxanne Isaac, and sisters Virginia and Blanca Maldonado are accused of hitting 4 Ulta stores in Bexar County and getting away with over $16,000 in merchandise. Investigators say the group also targeted stores in Travis County in the Austin area. Texas DPS says investigators ran surveillance video captured during the crimes through a facial recognition software, then compared the images with driver's license and were able to identify the alleged crooks. DPS says their arrests were part of a large crackdown operation on organized retail theft. San Antonio city leaders are cracking down on crypto scams. With a new ordinance, they say scammers now spoofing government numbers, pretending to be law enforcement, and then pressuring victims to pay fake fines through Bitcoin ATMs. Well, City Council unanimously approved new rules that now requires businesses who have Bitcoin or crypto ATMs to post these fraud warning signs. The signs must be placed where users can clearly see them. City leaders say recent alarms have happened after scammers call victims pretending to be officials and then pressure them to deposit money into the crypto machines. The ordinance will take effect on July 1st. And that's your news here in San Antonio.
I'm Adriana Alexander. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. Friends, family members, and community supporters filled Salado Saturday to honor the life of 18-year-old Ember Henry. The vigil comes just days after police say Henry was found shot multiple times in Temple, a case now being investigated as a homicide. 6 News reporter Juliana Jackson was at that emotional gathering and has more.
You know, Ember was a bright light in this world, and his light was turned off way too soon.
Friends and family gather in Salado to remember 18-year-old Ember Henry, remembering the 18-year-old's love for trucks, motocross, and the outdoors.
When he walked into the room, his presence commanded a smile.
Police say Ember was found dead and shot multiple times in Temple. Investigators say the case is being handled as a homicide, but this vigil didn't focus on the investigation.
So let's carry a little piece of that light with us moving forward and be more like Ember.
I know that he touched each of your lives in some way, and that I find comfort in that. Crystal finds comfort in that.
His father, former Salado Mayor Bert Henry, says his son was the kind of person who never hesitated to help someone in need.
No matter what it was, if you called him, hey, I need help doing something, he was on his way.
Friends sharing stories, laughter, and tears as the community came together to support a family now grieving. Ember's father says one of his proudest moments was seeing his son make his own footprint in the community.
That brought a smile to my heart because I knew that my son had made an impact.
Candles glowing, hugs being shared, and a community promising Ember Henry will never be forgotten.
They reach out to us like, hey, please don't, continue, talk about them, tell stories. We want to hear about it.
Juliana Jackson, 6 News.
Temple police say the investigation into Ember's death is currently active. Saturday, the Dr. Pepper Museum unveiled what officials say is the world's largest Dr. Pepper bottle during the museum's 35th birthday bash. The 23-foot tall fiberglass bottle now stands as a new landmark in Waco, honoring the soft drink that was created in the city back in 1885. The celebration featured free samples, family activities, and a chance to win a year's supply of Dr. Pepper and other prizes. Museum officials say the event was designed to celebrate both the history of Dr. Pepper and the community that continues to support the museum.
We have an amazing staff here. Our senior staff is so supportive, and then everyone, it was all hands on deck, and they showed up. It's just so proud of our team to make this happen. This is definitely a different type of event that we have. So going into not really knowing what we're going to do and executing this like this, it's so rewarding. I'm so proud of them. But for Waco to show up too, we have people from all over who've come to be a part of this.
The museum said they started the project 10 months ago when thinking of a special way to celebrate 35 years of being in Central Texas. Waco Transit has partnered with the Creekside Community Village to help people as they transition out of homelessness. Leaders say transportation was identified early on as a major need since the community sits outside Waco's downtown core, where many jobs and essential services are located. The shuttle now stops at the community every hour, connecting residents to employment opportunities, grocery stores, medical appointments, and other critical services across the city. Chief Village Officer Jonah Fox says this helps bridge a gap.
There's all those other services that people really need for them to be successful to live here. And so the transportation, the medical care, all sorts of, community resources, food pantries. And so we're bringing all of those resources together as one, and transportation was really an essential component of that wheel, to help people live a holistic and full life.
Fox added this new stop is more than just a bus route. It's a lifeline helping residents stay connected, build stability, and take the next step towards a fresh start. And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Here are your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Cameron Burchett. On Friday, residents near a park where a shooting occurred tell 12 News they're scared to be a future target of a shooting. City leaders have tried to assure the city that they're working to keep residents safe. 12 News reporter Daniela Tabuada-Palau spoke to the mayor and Councilman Joey Hilliard, who says he has plans to help keep his ward safe.
Pearlston Park was silent and empty Friday after the life of an 18-year-old Brandon Bridges was lost in a shooting Thursday afternoon.
We've got to do better.
A phrase that's echoing across city council, especially from Councilmember Joey Hilliard. The park is in his ward.
People are afraid, and we understand that, but we can't let fear control how we live our lives.
12 News knocked on doors in the area to hear from neighbors, but many were too afraid to speak on camera. Still, one concern kept coming up: safety, a concern Hilliard is considering solutions for.
We can't have a policeman everywhere, but we can have cameras so it's being watched. I would like to see that. I would like to see more cameras, more card readers.
Pearlston Park has one camera. It was one of 10 parks across Beaumont to receive security cameras last year. Hilliard says he'd like to see more, not just in the park, but in the surrounding areas.
The police have strategic areas they would like cameras put, and I think as the council that we should move toward that. I would like to see on the weekends a police officer at the parks. Because it's all about deterrent.
Council would still need to take it up and pay for it. However, Mayor Roy West says if things are going to change, the community needs to be involved.
I want it all to stop now, and we will continue to work for that. But that's why we're inviting the public to be involved. If you're watching this, what you think matters, but also your participation in assisting this matters.
That was Daniela Tabuada-Palau reporting. The new Beaumont ISD Superintendent Sandy Massey released a statement following the shooting. It reads in part, quote, "Violence has no place in the lives of our children. Every student deserves to live, to learn, and to grow up safely. We will continue to work alongside our community, our families, and our local partners to advocate for the safety and well-being of every young person in Beaumont ISD." She says the district and the community stand beside the victim's family in their grief. A Beaumont ISD teacher is speaking out about new classroom rules following the state takeover of BISD. During last week's Board of Managers meeting, Peach MacArthur teacher Bridget Smith questioned whether a new requirement to keep classroom doors open could put students and staff at risk during an emergency. She also raised concerns about teacher morale and the fast-paced changes happening across the districts. Her comments came just days after a mandatory staff meeting at Westbrook High School, where Principal Nicholas Phillips told teachers they must follow strict new expectations from the state-appointed administration. 12 News obtained the PowerPoint presentation slide shown to teachers outlining the district's new classroom expectations. The rules include no movies or music during class, specific desk arrangements, open classroom door, and bell-to-bell instruction through the end of the school year. Beaumont ISD says the open door policy does not create a safety issue because classroom doors remain locked and can be closed immediately during an emergency. Newton police have released details in a hit and run that left a woman hospitalized. Investigators now believe the vehicle involved is a 2020 Ford F-150 XLT or a Lariat model with damage to the left front end. Police say 40-year-old Ashley Wiseman of Newton was hit Wednesday night on Highway 87 near Sunshine Grocery. A passing driver found her and called 911. Wiseman remains hospitalized as police continue searching for the driver. ExxonMobil and Space Center Houston celebrated nearly 120 Beaumont ISD 5th and 6th graders last week. This was a celebration for graduating from a special STEM academy. These students got to visit the Space Center 4 times during the spring semester to experience hands-on STEM skill building. This was done through experimentation with engineering challenges and guided activities focused on space science, robotics, coding software applications, and the Moore STEM Academy was made possible through a $150,000 contribution from ExxonMobil. And those were the headlines from Southeast Texas.